Hey there, so this is a behind the scenes for a 12-inch wood round door hanger, and we're picking up where I've already designed the design and I am printing the different elements here. I can only print up to legal, and this is a 12-inch diameter round, so I needed to split the design in two, and I will piece it together when I put the design on the round. So I am turning on the heat press and I'm setting it to 400 degrees for 60 seconds. And this is the first time I'm making this, so all presses are a little different, so we'll peek and see when it's done the 60 seconds, but we'll have to see if that works out because the pressure, the temperature, the time, it all depends on your specific press. And when you're experimenting with something for the first time, it's an experiment. So I removed the protective cover, I lint rolled it, and I cleaned it to make sure that there's nothing that could interfere with the transfer. And now I'm trimming the prints closely to help with the placement. It will be easier to center them so it all looks cohesive. So the legal piece of paper is still a little bit too big to go through the paper trimmer that I have, so I had to trim that by hand. Finding the center, and I'm looking at this from above and using heat resistant tape to tape it down. And then that is the top portion, and then I'm going to place the paw print, and I'm using a centering ruler to find the center to make sure that it is in the proper placement. And I'm going to secure that down to the top half and to the wood round with the heat resistant tape. And we are now up at temperature 400 degrees, so the heat press is ready. So as soon as I'm ready, the heat press will be ready. So I'm cutting the little accent flowers, and I'm going to place those on the sides. So I'm trimming off as much paper as I can to make sure that I can kind of eyeball it. And that was Fred or Wilma that walked by in the background. Always around those Crafty labs. And I believe this is right where I realized, oh, yep, dope. I forgot to preheat the blank before I put the design on it. So now I have to take it all off. And good thing it's kind of taped to itself, so I won't have to do a lot of the placing again. But you have to preheat blanks, especially if it's wood, textiles, stuff like that, because there can be moisture in it. And if you don't get the moisture out before you actually do the sublimation, it can cause ghosting. So I've preheated the blank. I just wiped it down. I'm cooling it off, and I am centering the design back on it. And this time it's for real. I've done everything I need to do now, and just getting it ready to put it in the press. So yeah, unless it's metal or glass or slate, which doesn't hold moisture, it's really important to preheat the blank. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting some paper up on my heat press mat to protect it from the blowout of the ink, because the sublimation process turns a solid into a gas, skipping the liquid form. So we're protecting the bottom and the top. And I am peeking right now to see if that was long enough, and I'm seeing nope, it needs to go back in a little bit longer. So I'm putting fresh paper down, and I'm going to heat it for another 40 seconds, and then we're going to peek and see how it looks. And you can see here, that looks like a good transfer. When you can see the ink through the paper, that's a good indication. So I've taken it off. I've put it on another heat press mat so it doesn't warp my cutting mat on my desk. And I'm peeling the print off, and you can see how it looks. I now know the precise time to use moving forward so that I don't have the trial and error. 400 for 60 seconds wasn't long enough, but whenever you're working with a blank for the first time, it is a little bit of trial and error because of your individual heat press and the pressure. All right, so here we are with the finished product, and you can see with the wood grain on top, it almost looks like the top is wood, and it's got the welcome with the paw print for the O. And then we've got the colorful flower paw print that looks kind of like embroidery. And then we've got also these little bunches of embroidered flowers that match the colors in the paw print. And this can be hung up with a jute rope hot glued to the back here and having a hanging loop. Or I can see about drilling 2 holes here and putting the rope through that. So I have to see what kind of drill bits I have to see if I can do that without doing anything to the finish. But for the most part, this is done other than the hanging rope, and I think it turned out really well. And this would work for any pet-friendly household. And you could hang this on your front door, in your entryway, and it's really cool. I think it really turned out well, and I really just took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different elements and put them together to make what I envisioned in my head it would look like in the end, and it looks even better than I thought it would. I'm really pleased with the wood grain at the top with the welcome, and then the colors, how they turned out. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes video with the Crafty Lab. Please like, share, comment, and hit the subscribe button so you're notified whenever I post new content. Thanks. Have a great day.